and from Europe's perspective on Asia's new strategic reality, we welcome Mr. Meher Nicholas Furtzley, the director of the EU ASEAN Forum. Welcome, and thank you so much for joining me here today. Mr. Furtzley, let me ask you, has China's aggressive diplomacy ultimately weakened its influence in Asia, do you think?
I'm delighted to join you today
Thank
from
you.
the borough of Holborn in central London.
Thank you.
My answer would be the following, would be a cautious no. Cautious
Okay.
no.
Why?
Because, you have to understand who's talking, who's speaking, right? And it's, Foreign Policy magazine, a very influential American journal, published an article, I think yesterday in New York, along those lines. And it was interesting, that Foreign Policy magazine article was penned by a former high-ranking Singaporean diplomat, saying something along the lines of, blah, 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 China, aggressive foreign policy, blah, 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 peak China. I disagree politely, so I disagree cautiously. And the reason why I disagree cautiously is we will have ebbs and flows, right, of a very long game. So what's happening now between Washington and Beijing is a reordering of the world. So they are partitioning the world, and the game they're playing is called the New Great Game, or the New Cold War. And unlike the war between Russia and Ukraine, they're not using ballistic missiles or bombs, right, or glide bombs.
Yeah.
The war is very much, played along technological, financial lines, right? So high tech,
Yes.
money is the name of that game, and it's a long game. So William Shakespeare, who lived for many years in the borough of Holborn in central London, he used to say in one of these plays, I think it's The Tempest, he used to say, what is past is prologue. What does it mean, what is past is prologue? It means that all the events of the past 10, 15, 20 years have led us to where we are today, in that age of geoeconomics, where everything, finance, the economy, diplomacy, is defined by the Sino-American rivalry. And prologue means it just started. So it's just the beginning, the past 15, 20 years, of a new era, which may last another 60, 70, 80 years, right? So it's too early to say, is America aggressive? Is China soft? Or vice versa, was China too aggressive and America too soft? Whatever.
Well, actually, that
just
brings
the
me to
beginning.
my next question, which is about the regional balance and the power shifting. And the ASEAN states are quietly deepening the defense cooperation with Washington. Do you think, is this the regional balance, maybe, or do we call it power shifting?
Here also, I would say past this prologue, because, the Chinese had it, quote unquote, easy for a certain period of time. To make a long story short, let's say 15, 20 years. Because America and Europe neglected the Asia-Pacific area, their mistake. So it's not China's mistake, right? And one of the reasons why America and Europe neglected the Asia-Pacific area is they focused a lot on the Middle East, right? Iraq itself mobilized for 10 years trillions of dollars of resources from America, and they changed the regime in Baghdad, thinking that they would rebuild the Middle East. And they realized, and that's why Donald Trump was elected, they realized it was all propaganda, right? They wasted billions of dollars, trillions of dollars, for nothing. In the meantime, while the Americans were losing soldiers and money in Baghdad and Tikrit and Mosul, in the meantime, China was expanding its industrial technological reach across the Asia-Pacific area, across the world. And now the Americans have a wake up, they woke up, and because they woke up, thanks to Trump to a large extent, they're much more focused. So Trump is a very focused player, and is focusing aggressively, you are right, on the Asia-Pacific area. It's the main playground, and it will take time. Now, ASEAN is like the EU. In the 50s and early 60s, the ASEAN was an American creation. Because in the 50s and the early 60s, American foreign policy and American strategic thinking was much better, higher quality than today, right? Because of people like George W. Bush, Obama, Clinton, America collapsed, right? And so what I'm coming at is it's normal that America has a good relationship with most ASEAN member states, because after all, the Americans, they created ASEAN just like they created the EU back in the late 50s, early 60s.
Many are now believing that maybe the peak of China is still approaching. Do you think that's accurate or an exaggeration?
I'm sorry, I missed the first part of your question.
No, I was just saying that many believe that the peak of China is actually approaching. Do you think that's an accurate statement or it's just an exaggeration?
Cautiously, I would say it's an exaggeration. Why is it an exaggeration?
Yeah.
Because, you know, the game today, like I said, is not fought with missiles and rockets. It's fought with money and high-tech investment, right?
Yes.
So if we slice the world economy into 9 or 10 broad sectors, so the world economy, we slice it into 10 sectors. Today, technologically, China is ahead of America in 6 or 7 out of 10 sectors, which is really unbelievable. You know, civil engineering, architecture, renewable energy, high-speed rail, modern transportation, shipyards, you know, building ships, be they civilian or military. Today, China is ahead, right? So really, China is ahead in everything except 2 or 3. There are 2 or 3 sectors where America is still number one, and these would be microchips, and these would be aviation, building airplanes, civilian and military. And these are really the 2 sectors where America is ahead. And the third one is AI, artificial intelligence. All the rest, all other sectors, China is way ahead. So of course, it's a wake-up call for America under President Trump. He is an economic nationalist, and he's trying now to catch up with China. So I wouldn't say China has peaked. I would say there are two giants in their sleeves, in their game. They both have strong cards and weaknesses. Once again, the strong cards of America are AI, are microchips, so really aviation. And another card is the size of the US consumer market. And when he negotiates with Asian countries, with Europe, he uses that card as a weapon. So when he talks to Malaysia, Indonesia, Germany, Trump says, oh, you want access to that huge American consumer market? Okay, you will have to make concessions.
How would you think Beijing's economic slowdown affect maybe Xi Jinping's global ambitions?
Yes, the Chinese economy is slowing down. China has 2 big issues they need to fix, and they're difficult to fix. The first one is the lingering effects of the gigantic real estate finance bubble. It's an incredibly big bubble. It's very dangerous for the Chinese economy. They've tried for the past 6-7 years to fix it, and they've been unable to do so. Now, the bubble hasn't burst, but it's a big weight on China's economic and financial shoulders. But so far, it hasn't exploded. So it's a pain for China, but it's a pain they kind of were able to absorb. So let's say that it's okay. But there's another problem China has, which will happen in 7, 8, 9, 10 years, right? It's a demographic problem, which will have...
In what sense demographic, sir?
Because Chinese women don't have children. But the time lag, so the time lag is long. So between the moment Chinese women don't have enough children and the moment it becomes a big problem for the national economy, you can have 30, 40 years. And so that moment is coming, right? So in 6, 7, 8 years, China will have a huge demographic problem, which will have an impact on pensions. So there will be too many old people in China and not enough young people working. Paying the pensions for the old timers, the retirees.
Yes.
But that is in 8 years, 9 years, and they're working hard to fix it. So when I'm coming at, yes, China has problems. The Chinese economy is slowing down. The main ace in China's game is the New Silk Road. Because with the New Silk Road, gigantic, Belt and Road, they are bringing together many sectors where they are ahead of the curve. Engineering, construction, energy, transportation, high-speed rail. So all these Chinese sectors where they are the world leaders, they are deploying the world over in that gigantic, Belt and Road, New Silk Road.
Yeah.
And really, they need money for that. And maybe in the future, they will have less money than in the past to fund these multi-trillion dollars per year of infrastructure investment. But even when you take that into account, the New Silk Road is still an amazing ace in the game of China, in that global rivalry. And that's why, for example, President Trump, when he went to Korea 3 weeks ago and Japan, he focused relentlessly on shipyards. He told the Japanese and the Koreans, we need you to come to Pennsylvania, Washington, Baltimore, New York, and build and expand American shipyards because we need that in that strategic fight against China. So what I'm coming at is, in spite of all the problems they're facing, the Chinese economy is growing quite fast because in economics and finance, everything is relative. So now, for example, the UK economy and the French economy and the German economy are growing at 0% per year.
Yeah.
The American economy at 2% or 2.5%. China is growing at 5.5%.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
Mr. Fertzi, let me ask you and move again to my other question. China is the top trading partner for Southeast Asia. Why does mistrust remain so high? Can you tell us?
Why do what?
I'm asking you, China is the top trading partner for Southeast Asia. And why does mistrust still remain so high?
Well, it's natural. So it's natural that China would be a big trading partner with its neighbors, right?
Yes.
Even though there are rivalries. So let's take, for example, Vietnam, right?
Yeah.
So you could say Vietnam, it should be in America's camp against China because there are islands in the South China Sea which are contested aggressively between the Chinese Navy and the Vietnamese Navy. My enemy's enemy is my friend. Vietnam should be siding with America. In reality, Vietnam is neutral when it comes to finance and trade.
Yeah.
The Vietnamese are very happy to trade with China, and they don't want to stop trading. So they don't want to sacrifice their strong trading relationship with China for the sake of America. And that is the position of most ASEAN countries. Even when they deepen their military relation with America, which is, for example, the case of Thailand, is deepening its military cooperation with America. But at the same time, Thailand, just like neighboring Vietnam, they're happy to trade with China. Why? Because China changed. China is no longer a cheap manufacturing base, right?
Yeah.
China today is exporting advanced consumer products to Vietnam and Thailand. And so it's a mutually beneficial relation. And what they want, these ASEAN countries, they want to stay neutral. So even when they buy F-35s from America and they have US bases physically present, at the same time, they want to keep on trading with China. So it's a delicate balance. It's really about neutrality. But I think that trade flow, and more important than trade, investment, Chinese investment flows, so building factories, building highways, building airports in Malaysia, Indonesia, Vietnam. Who's doing it today? It's Chinese companies, much more than American companies. And it will take years for American and European companies to be on par with China in their capacity to build high-speed rails. If you are the Prime Minister of Vietnam, if you want a high-speed rail connecting, let's say Hanoi to Ho Chi Minh City, the only companies who can do it are, Japanese, Chinese, German, let's say, and the only companies who can do it at a competitive price are Chinese. So basically, if you are the Vietnamese government, you will go to China.
Well, Mr. Meher Nicholas Fertzi, thank you so much for helping us understand this critical moment in Asia's geopolitical landscape. Thank you. Well, power confronts pressure. in Washington and in Beijing. And the choices made now by leaders, lawmakers, and Asian capitals will shape whether the world moves towards stability or deeper confrontation. And I'm Salma El Fiki. Thank you for joining and for watching us here on In Focus. Good night.